Hi, I'm Wayne,
And I'm Hazel.
and welcome to episode 5 of the Just Covered podcast, where we listen to news, views, and opinions of advisors in the intermediary space.
And today we're really lucky to be joined by Nicola McKenzie from Dunham McCarthy Mortgages. So welcome.
Hello, thank you guys so much for having me.
No, we're really excited, and it will be great to hear your kind of views on the current kind of climate for mortgage advisors and just learn from you. Yeah, lots been happening. So how has it been for you?
It's been okay. It was very manic in October. Straight after the mini budget, there was a lot going on. Very, very busy. We're finding at the moment, certainly in the mortgage space, things have quietened down. Rates are coming down, which is obviously great news. But there is still, I think, because of a lot of the media hype, if you like, there is still that that fear amongst buyers at the moment. But I do think that is slowly kind of starting to change. So we're getting a lot more inquiries now, which is good.
I bet on the back of the rates coming down as well, because quite a bit's happened over the last few weeks.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the papers aren't shouting quite as much about the fact that rates have gone down as much as they were about rates going up. So yeah, it's our job kind of as advisors. We're doing weekly call outs at the moment to tell our clients exactly what the reality is of what's happening, keeping our eye on the rates to inform our clients even that rates have gone down, let's switch you across and save you money where we can and things like that. So yeah,
been really proactive then and making sure you're on it when that news comes out. And
exactly. I mean, literally we had a mortgage offer about 6 weeks ago, and because of the rate drop, a client yesterday, we saved him £127 just by literally switching him across after his mortgage has been approved. So he's very happy.
Oh, I bet he is. Yeah, so good business for your client, but good business for you as well, isn't it? Reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. So have you found things with regards to, a big journey, I suppose, over the last few years? You were a winner at our BQA Awards.
Yes.
Last year was amazing, sat next to you at the ceremony itself. So well done on that.
Thank you.
How have you found, how have you had to adapt, I suppose, is what I'm asking with regards to over the last few years in that sense?
Yeah, so I mean, we've very much been fans since we started our business of diversification. So we're not just solely focused on any one area of financial services. Our core business is will writing. We started the business in 2011, and it was primarily a protection business, but the plan was to offer a complimentary will writing service for every client with every protection sale. So that's really how our business started as a result of the 2008 credit crunch. So with that kind of mindset, we've always kept our hand in a lot of different areas to kind of ride the storm when, the market does quieten down. We've still got these other things to kind of keep us busy and still be able to help our clients in lots of different areas.
Absolutely. Well, it gives you that flexibility. And we talk about financial planning, don't we, to diversify funds, put funds different places. You're almost doing that with your business.
Absolutely. And I think it's important.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
And in terms of the challenges of that, though, has there been any challenges in terms of offering so much, and how did you build that up over time?
That's a good question, actually. It's always a challenge because you're juggling many different things. But I think in terms of how we manage that, it's a case of taking our time. We get one thing right before we move on to the next thing, because I think when you're trying to do everything well at one time, it's not going to be as efficient. So we started with wills, and then we've slowly introduced these other things over the years. So yeah.
And what's been the benefit of starting at wills, in your opinion?
Everybody needs one.
Yeah, true.
Well, it's still more than 50% of adults in the UK do not have a valid will. So to me, I think that's a shocking and a frightening statistic. So naturally, obviously, that's a huge gap in the market to help people. And again, going back to what we said, when the mortgage market, it does go up and down. It's just how it works. A will is something that everyone needs. So it's something that, again, allows us to get through those challenging market periods.
Definitely. No, I've never thought of it in that way. Obviously, I've thought of it, everyone needs a will, just background in financial planning, but I hadn't ever thought of it as actually that's your constant.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
It is
quite stable, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got quite a unique offering in My Last Will. Could you tell us a little bit more about it and how it works?
Yeah, sure. So that's a digital platform that we introduced in 2018, which allows clients to make their will online in a very efficient, quick, easy way. So the client will answer a questionnaire, takes them 20-30 minutes, and then after that our expert team will check the draft documents and then approve it for the client to sign and witness it. So that's been, like I say, that was really the core of our business, and that's how our business has grown, and that's now something that we offer to other brokers to help them to add value to the service they're offering. Because when somebody comes to you for a mortgage, isn't it great to say, well, you know, you're buying a property, this is a time to look at also making sure that if something happens to you, that property passes to who you'd want it to pass to.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way for brokers to add value to their clients, but also for the clients themselves, because again, everyone knows that they should have a will, but in my experience, often people don't want to part with their money to necessarily get it sorted. It's always something we'll do tomorrow, or, you know, there's always a better, more convenient time to do it. Whereas with it being complimentary, it's a case of saying, no, we need to do this, and there's no excuses.
And they don't always know an expert straight away either. There's the monetary thing, and then also with My Last Will, and I've seen demos of it before, it's simple, isn't it?
Very simple.
And the back end of people checking it as well.
Exactly, absolutely. It's very user-friendly, shall we say, absolutely. And I also think that it's just, well, for us, like I say, it's been very popular, but also helping other brokers as well. And for them, it's great as a lead generation tool as well.
Yes,
so for advisors to obviously revisit their existing clients. A lot of people I know that use the system will call up their back book to say, let's review things. By the way, we're now offering a complimentary will writing service. So again, it's mutually beneficial for advisor and for clients as well.
And I suppose it helps the protection conversation as well, because it lends itself, doesn't it? The fact that you're protecting where your property goes to the right people at the right time, all of that type of thing.
Absolutely. So in our business, we've got two teams. We've got a mortgage and protection team and an estate planning and protection team. And I would say that the protection conversation, certainly in my experience, our estate planners find it an easier conversation historically. I think that's for a variety of factors, but it definitely, the two do go hand in hand in my experience.
I guess without securing your income that pays for all these things they're coming in to see you to do, it's kind of, well, that client, we were speaking about it just before, that client's lost almost if that income's lost, you know. So
exactly. And as well, you know, there's so much of a lack of awareness as well in many ways, because sometimes we'll meet a client that's arranged two individual policies. They're not married, they haven't put the policy in trust, and they don't have a will either. So naturally, if they haven't got children, that policy isn't necessarily passing to the partner, it's maybe going to their parents. And these are things that, again, without making sure that clients are getting the right advice, is leaving them in a very vulnerable position. So that's why I'm very passionate about wills, for many reasons.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You can sense it, and I guess that passion definitely probably comes across to your clients because it's genuine.
Definitely, you know? It really is something I'm passionate about, and I think there is still a long way to go in terms of creating that awareness for people. You know, when I'm sat with a client and we're giving them all the technical aspects of how to set the policy up efficiently, there's so much that a lot of our clients were not aware of until we've sat in front of them. So I just think that there's a lot of work to do in terms of educating and you know, making sure that people know the risks of not getting advice and not having the right protection in place, etc.
And you're obviously really passionate about it, as we already said. If you link that back to motivation, I know you've been talking a lot about that only in the last week at different events and stuff. So, you know, passion, motivation, what gets you up in the morning, you know, how have you found that change throughout the years, and how do you keep that spark going?
That's a really good question, Wayne. That's exactly what I just did a talk about, actually, that very topic. I think one of the things that I explained, I've been running a business now for 12 years, and the first 5 years of running that business, it was very motivating, you know, it's all exciting, etc. For a variety of reasons, there has been challenges along the way. And the one thing that I've come to understand is that motivation is temporary. You're not going to be the same level, or I'm not the same level of motivation every day. So there's got to be things outside of just relying solely on motivation to still keep going. So for me, a lot of my passion comes from helping my clients. I love that, putting them in a better position. Also now, a lot of content marketing. So I love marketing.
Yeah.
Hence why, we do a lot on social media. That's what really drives me. I'd also say a large part of what drives me is leading our team and educating our team. We do apprenticeships, and for me, seeing a younger generation come through as advisors and seeing them grow, seeing them develop, that really motivates me.
Yeah. And that's benefiting the whole of the financial service environment then. If you can bring people in, get them trained up well.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's the benefit. If you're offering all those different services, you're getting advisors who have actually got knowledge across the board of why each element's important.
Absolutely, because if somebody comes to see us for a mortgage, often there is an estate planning need and other things that if we didn't have the knowledge around estate planning, then we wouldn't be able to necessarily provide a holistic service. So definitely having these other areas definitely helps.
USP, isn't it? I remember when advising back in the day, one of the first paragraphs on there was, you haven't got a will in place, we recommend you go and make one. But the fact is, you've got that process in place where people can actually do it, and they can do it using a digital platform, which obviously self-service and all that, but with the element where the least risk, if you like, in terms of it being checked at the back end.
Definitely.
And it's not just a line then.
No.
It's not just a line of I'm safeguarding myself, I've said that line to you. It's actually you're taking it to that level of offering the service on the back end.
Definitely. So it's been very positive.
With consumer duty coming down the track, that's walking the walk, isn't it? Avoiding that foreseeable harm, getting people to make a will,
100%.
Things in trust, all of that.
100%, definitely.
Right.
I guess also from a business perspective, because obviously we've talked about benefits to the client there, but you mentioned mortgages are quiet. So I guess even from a business perspective, you can contact the client about a whole host of other things.
Exactly. From a business perspective, it most definitely does, like I say, bridge that gap when things are quiet in the mortgage market to still make sure that we can, offer our clients some value.
Yeah, because we're seeing that even doing some of the events and training at the moment, mortgage advisors are coming to us and saying, right, I want to find something else, whether it's business protection or whether it's even just getting up to speed on protection again, because actually if they've got clients who are now taking 5-year fix instead of 2 years, your business drops, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Are you finding that as well?
Yeah, definitely. And we were talking actually before the podcast, weren't we, Hazel, about something that's been very beneficial for us from a business perspective and helping clients as well. Obviously, we're still getting a lot of inquiries from clients to look at mortgage options. They're not necessarily buying right now at the same level as they were 6 months ago. So for us, it's a case of, we're getting a lot of inquiries. These clients, a lot of them are in rented accommodation, but that doesn't dismiss the need for protection. The people that are sat in front of us all have an income. They wouldn't be inquiring for a mortgage if they didn't. A lot of them have families, young children. So one of the things we've introduced into our process is advising and encouraging the client to book a separate meeting to look at protection options, because just because you haven't found a mortgage, that doesn't mean that you're going to be any less impacted necessarily from the loss of your partner or the loss of your income. It's still just as important whether you're in rented or you own a property.
It's sometimes a higher risk, isn't it, for a renter?
Exactly. And we try and encourage our clients to say, look, if something happens to you, your landlord isn't going to let you live there rent-free. That's not how it works. We all know state benefits are not going to match a £40,000 salary, for example. So I think it's just about changing their mindset to understand why they should look at it sooner rather than later. We had a client, true story, she was a sole trader. I can't remember what she did, but she had an accident, which meant she lost her income. We'd spoken to her about protection. She didn't want to do it at the time. Let's wait until we do the mortgage. Well, in that time, she got ill, lost her income. She then had to use her house deposit to fund her lifestyle for the next 6 months. So, that was a really sad thing to kind of see. So again, we're really just making that extra effort to really encourage our clients to understand the risks of not doing it before they've found a mortgage, and encouraging them to get something sorted.
And how successful have you found that?
Very. So since we were always doing it, but it wasn't necessarily a set part of our process.
Okay.
It's now part of our process.
Mm-hmm.
So our CRM system kind of integrates it and makes it visually a screen share part of the meeting. And that was introduced in October of 2022. And our sales were increased by over 400%.
Wow. That is massive.
On the mortgage department.
Yeah.
So it's been incredibly.
Yeah. And that story you say really hits home. You think about how many renters out there that are looking to buy, that have saved a deposit,
Exactly.
have thought, what if I get ill and my deposit goes and I lose the potential of getting that house?
This is it, Wayne. It's not just about the loss of the income. It's about the fact that you're not going to be able to buy that property lightly.
It's your future dreams. It's the whole future you've planned and worked so hard to save for, isn't it? It's
absolutely.
Scary.
And I've got more similar stories I could tell you about that. But again, that's where the passion from me comes out to clients. And when I'm, coaching our team to say, this is just so important.
Yeah.
You need to think about it and you need to put something in place. We all know as advisors, again, I think it's about creating that awareness, because our clients don't know that by putting a start date 3 months in the future, if they go to the doctor and find a lump, that's the protections off the cards. They don't know that unless we tell them.
So,
and I think income protection is massive, isn't it? We promote it a lot at L&G. If you think of what my personal view is, it's not life support, it's lifestyle support, isn't it? It's just so important, and that the value that advisors like yourself and firms have in making sure that customers are aware of it is just so high.
Definitely. And we all know of all the protection products that are out there, income protection is the most likely to be claimed on.
Yeah, it is.
So to me, that's kind of the essential, that's the foundation to everything else.
Yeah. And I'm hearing a lot here, just picking up on some of the words you've used. You've said like passion, massive.
Yeah.
But then the other one's process.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is, if you are in doing advice or owning a business, to have processes in place?
That's a really good question, Hazel. I think it depends on how your business is set up.
Okay.
So, if you're a sole trader, it's just you that you have to worry about essentially, then is a process as essential? I still think it's beneficial to have robust processes, but I don't think it's quite as important, because you know what you're doing, you know that you're servicing the clients in the best way, you can trust what you're doing wholeheartedly. But for us, I mean, we have 19 sellers. That's a big team. You can't just leave people to just do the job when it gets to that size. So processes is a key part of what we do, to make sure that the clients are dealt with in the best, most compliant way. So, we have introduced a CRM system recently that allows us to audit things to make sure that from a quality perspective, things are being done really, really well. It also allows us to send out questionnaires to clients to see how they've found the service. These things are all really, really important parts of our process to make sure that everyone is providing a certain quality and standard to every client. So I think
really
it's very important.
Take a lot of pride in that quality standard, making sure it's always the right thing.
Process is very, very important for me.
Yeah. And in terms of somebody that covers like the whole, you almost do every touch point in a client's life, really, don't you? If you do like the estate planning, the will, protection, mortgage.
Yeah.
What kind of future do you see in that? Because at the moment we see a lot of headlines such as, male and female gap, or we see that the younger generation maybe aren't as aware of these products. What are your opinions on how that might change going forward?
I hope it can only go one way and get better, definitely, because I still think, the education system, we're not financially as aware as we should be. I think there's a long way to go there. You were talking about the gap with females. Absolutely, there is definitely more that needs to be done with that. I was reading an article the other day, and it said that for every £10,000 sum assured of a policy that a male has, a female is insured for about half of that.
Yeah, I saw a really similar
I think it was on cover.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was. Yeah, I can't remember. It was definitely, I read that and I thought that is a big difference.
Massive. and I think, I think a lot of that is due to, societal trends in that the average salary for a male is still typically higher than that for a female. So I think that there is a correlation there, but I still think again that it's up to us as advisors to be again, making clients aware that just because there's maybe two clients in front of us, one earns more than the other, the lower earner still needs that protection. And when I speak to clients, that's not already naturally clicked for them. So how many clients, I guess, are going on, comparethemarket.com, for example, then not everyone's getting advice. I wish they would, but the reality is they don't. So when they're doing that, again, they're not always getting those messages, just because your earnings are lower. Well, what is the practical impact if you're not here? We still need to quantify that.
We still add value to the household, don't you? Because who does all the things that you do if you can't?
You're not, exactly. But I don't think that that's necessarily a natural thought that people always have. But again, it's about us as advisors just educating and
how
making
do you
people
do
aware.
that? How do you get a customer to visualize that? I'm not sure.
Well, it's about really going through a risk assessment process.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a client setting, I will explain to clients, this isn't my favorite part of the job, admittedly. It is awkward to ask you these questions, but we do have to have a conversation to say, what is the reality of a change in your circumstances? And we need to look at right here, right now, if something happened, what provisions do you have in place? What backups are there? And if there aren't any, then we need to be having a more frank conversation about protection. So it is, well, for me, because again, I'm so passionate, I keep using that word a lot, but genuinely, because I'm so, because I see it as such an important thing, I don't personally find that an awkward conversation. And I think it's about how you position it as well.
It's having that belief though, isn't it? I guess, because
Definitely.
if you believe in the product and you can see the difference it makes to someone, you're not apologizing for having that conversation in the first place, are you?
Definitely. I had somebody comment, actually, a new advisor that joined our firm, and they said that I had unashamedly approached the topic of protection. And I said, because there is nothing to be ashamed of. It's just what's to me, it's I'm doing the client a disservice if I don't fully paint the picture of exactly what the scenario is if they don't take my advice. So
you're only offering them a product that will better them if they're in a bad situation. So I do find it really interesting that advisors have that mindset of either feeling ashamed to talk about it or saying, can I please now just talk about this? It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually a life-changing discussion.
Who wouldn't want their family's financial future to be protected?
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you're right, Hazel, when you just mentioned about it's about how you believe in the product as well. I think that's a massive part of it. Historically, when I've been training team members, I'd say that those that have found the conversation more difficult are those that genuinely don't believe in the product. And I think if you don't believe in it, then it's going to come across that you're selling something. You're not having that natural care for the client if you don't believe in that product yourself.
And do you think that can be taught? So when you do have those advisors who maybe don't believe, do you think you're able to sway that? Or do you think actually it's maybe until they have a change in circumstances?
It's a mixed bag. Some, change. And I think sometimes the change comes from coaching. Although coaching, you can't always change somebody's mindset. Sometimes it comes from just their life situation changing. If they have a child, that sometimes changes the way that people perceive protection. I'd say a mixed bag.
Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it? That belief cycle. And we talk about it in our training sometimes. We talk about belief cycles, and it's amazing. We'll be doing protection training, and we've got advisors who are all sat there saying, yes, I'll sell protection. I think it's important. But then you ask them in the room, who's got it? And then all of a sudden they don't put their hands up, and you think, you don't believe your own sales pitch. You've not sold it to yourself.
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Different types of processes you mentioned as well. So, and product. So when you're talking about someone going in to see a customer or a Remo or a PT even, do you find the belief element there is slightly different?
Oh, that's a good question, actually, Wayne. I don't think that the belief element is any different where it's a PT, etc. But I do think that that sometimes people are less likely to delve as deep into the
Right.
protection.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
If it is a PT, maybe under the assumption that they've already got it, or if they have already got it, that, you know, it can't be improved or whatnot. So yeah, I think that can sometimes be an issue.
Yeah, and I suppose, what types of, I suppose, techniques do you use to ensure the passion, the belief is there for the people that work for your firm?
Well, a lot of that is process driven to an extent.
Right.
Again, it's a case of it's not optional to ask someone if they've already got the cover, and if they have, we need to see the policy document. That's something that's part of our process.
Right.
So, so yeah, I would say that we have to ask the question, because as a business owner, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm having to answer to a client that is in a bad situation because of what we've not done.
Absolutely. There's nothing. I've been in that situation, not as a business owner, but as an area sales manager. I was in that situation. I got a phone call from a client, and unfortunately, they didn't have the protection there. So I was able to stay with them on the phone and talk them through how to get their death in service, look at the death in service, etc. So they luckily had that. But I remember going back through the advisors' documentation and everything, and you know they'd made the client aware of the risk, and I could see they'd documented it well.
Okay, good.
But my heart sank until I saw that documentation. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm having to look through this now. And I guess that's it. You're right, as a business owner or area sales manager, you just don't ever want to be, or even as an advisor, you don't ever want to have that call.
Absolutely. And that's why I said earlier, in terms of process is important for us, because you just don't want those situations. You don't want those phone calls from clients that, you know, the particular advisor didn't mention this or didn't ask me if I had the mortgage protected. That's just the last thing that you want, for a variety of reasons.
I can imagine. I suppose as part of that process, do you have some sort of signposting element that you have fairly? I know you're asking about the documentation and stuff. Or does it vary between advisors in terms of how they signpost that protection conversation?
Yeah, it's kind of, that is kind of left to the advisor to a certain extent.
I suppose it's more natural then, isn't it?
Exactly. So even though we are very process driven, there's still a lot that's outside of the process. You know, we don't want to make advisors robots.
Of course not.
That's the last thing we want. But I think it's about having a healthy balance between the two. That's it.
Lovely.
Well, I'd agree. It sounds like you've got a really great setup. Like, I think, you know, of all the little elements you cover, and not even only from a, you know, customer experience point of view, amazing, but then also from a business point of view, you've really thought about, well, how can my business be successful? How can I maintain that success throughout? And touching back on that kind of remortgage product transfer, are you seeing a difference now? You know, we've talked about mortgages going through and how busy you've been, but are you seeing a difference in weight on product or appointment type coming into your diaries?
Definitely, there are more remortgages coming through, for sure, and a lot of clients from the will side of our business wanting mortgage advice, who are not already clients, or we've not done a mortgage for them historically.
So how do you pair that up? Just really curious, if you've got the will there, do you see the will as an easy in to find those clients?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So where we've got clients, we make them aware of the other things that we can help them with. And I think mortgages are at the top of everybody's you know, priority list at the moment. And I think that will be the case probably for the next 12 months. I think a lot of clients that maybe historically would have just gone back to their bank are now starting to think, no, I need to speak to somebody now. So because it is such a hot topic at the moment, we're also getting asked by those clients, do you do this? And it's
that is really good. I know that's got two different ways that you can view the media at the moment, can't we? It's either all doom and gloom or actually free marketing for people like yourself, in terms of, actually, we offer a really good service, come and use us. Media's saying this, so that's great. But that's been amazing.
I was just thinking about as well, just quickly, about the client sort of communication strategy that you have there, because you've got so many different areas that you deal with your clients. So how does that work for you? You know, is there a regularity in client communication, making sure that you're top of mind, all that type of thing?
Absolutely. So we're doing a lot more work actually on that. It's not historically been something that we've been the best at until recently. But we are now getting into the habit of regular newsletters, social media as well. You know, that's a big thing for keeping in touch with clients, because, you know, if I've done a mortgage for somebody 12 months ago, if they're following our social media, that's that constant reminder as well. And, you know, we try our best to put content out that is not just about promoting our brand, but the majority of what we do is educational, actually, because I think that, again, it's important to help people. But again, I think if people are learning something from the social media that you're putting out, they're much more likely to reach out at some point and say, can you help me with this?
I think it was brilliant the way you did that, because it's that wider awareness piece. And I suppose the main thing that sticks out for me is when you moved offices, you promoted that absolutely brilliantly. Yeah, I was following that. You're right. I think we had the paper involved. We had it on YouTube. We had a local news. We had the lot.
I was everywhere.
It was amazing. You know, but it's just about that top of mind piece. That, right, okay, Dunham McCarthy are moving. Oh, they're there now. I'm seeing them again. So it's like registering with the client, isn't it? Around that wider brand, galvanisation, you know, trust, all that type of thing.
100%. You know, and a lot of the marketing that we do isn't always come and do your mortgage with us, come and do your will with us. It's a case of just reminding people that we're there and we're doing positive things.
Yeah, it's almost like we're here for you. That's what it is.
And when you need us, hopefully you'll think of us and come to us at that time, definitely.
We used to call it, when I was an estate agent, I had a sales manager who called it the Domino's effect, as in Domino's Pizza, because you'd be driving home from work and you'd see an ad there, then you'd see someone dressed as a pizza, and then subliminally, even if you didn't actually want a takeaway, all of a sudden you're craving a takeaway, and if you are going to order one, it'll probably be Domino's Pizza.
It's so
it's almost that, isn't it? If you don't know about the service, you're not reminded constantly, you don't have that subliminal message to use them.
Definitely. I was talking about this very topic actually on a podcast with somebody a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the Coca-Cola ad that you see every Christmas. And they're not saying buy Coca-Cola from us, are they? It's just that constant reminder of Christmas, the Coca-Cola lorry comes, that reminds us all Coke exists.
Sometimes it will just flash up, won't it?
Yeah,
for a second,
that's
and then
it. That's it. So it is about, you know, that subliminal aspect of it. Definitely just that reminder that you're there as a business and can help them when the time comes.
Yeah, no, you do it very well. I said when I first joined intermediary space, you were actually one of the first people I saw on social. When I was looking at videos, looking at like kind of how-to things, it was your YouTube that came up, and some of your help videos and things. They were educational and easy to listen to. That customer language was really hits the spot well. So you do a great job.
Good,
I think it's just great. You've got, you know, we look at people coming into the industry as well that want to do it. They see a company like yours that, you know, is very prominent locally as well in the local area and stuff, as well as wider on social media. I want to go and work for them. You know, I want to do the right thing.
Definitely, Wayne. And like I said, you know, bringing through a lot of the time, we're not always looking at people that have got financial services experience. Like I say, we take on apprentices. We've got a couple at the moment. They're not quite at the stage of being advisors, but they've been in the business now for 3 years, doing a support role for the advisors. And I just think it's very important to coach that younger generation to bring them through, because, you know, they'll be advising and hopefully doing it really well one day.
Yeah, great. So if you could give one tip to either a new advisor or existing advisors, what would it be?
Okay, so based on what we've spoken about, in my experience, there are still, I think, might be an unpopular opinion, sorry if it is, but there are a lot of advisors that are still perhaps too worried to have the conversation about protection. And I do find that particularly seems to be where advisors are, primarily mortgage advisors. Getting into that mindset can be difficult. And I would just say, you know, just don't be. It's just so important that our clients get that consistent, good advice, and that we point the risks out. What the client chooses to do after that, we can't control that, but it's just about not being afraid to have that conversation. And if you've done that, you've done your bit. And as a result of that, you will end up protecting more clients. And again, you know, you'll do well.
I agree. It's just about confidence and knowing your importance to the client.
Absolutely.
How many people are going to have that conversation? Not many. So time for you to step up and do it as you demonstrate with your.
This is it. You know, I mean, I've heard of some brokers over the years that don't even quote protection, and they're selling a mortgage to these people, and it's like, you know, someone's taking out £300,000 of a mortgage. To not even have the conversation is just I can't justify it. Sorry.
You can. Yeah, definitely not. And it's to me, that's worrying because it's almost like a lottery, isn't it, for those customers? How do they know who's going to give them that holistic advice? They should be able to trust them no matter who they come in and speak to.
Exactly.
They get that full package
Every
time.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I suppose consumer duty is all a part of
There's
that.
the referral element, isn't there? There's the write it or refer it strap line, isn't there? So companies like yourself probably take referrals, I would think.
Absolutely, Wayne, you're exactly right. If you don't want to write it, that's okay, but just make sure that somebody does it then. Because I think, like we said earlier, the last thing you want is that phone call from somebody to say, nobody told me this, nobody made me aware of this. That's just not what any advisor wants.
So I just say you're completely right in terms of referrals. I think that's something anyone can do. You don't have to be skilled in the conversation to be able to refer it, do you?
Absolutely,
so definitely,
absolutely.
So important. And one of the biggest elements that will come out at the end of today is to have that conversation or refer it to someone who will have that conversation. The importance is huge. Thank 100%. You so much for coming. It's amazing.
Worries. Thank you for having me. It's been a really good afternoon. Thanks guys.
Nick. You've been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.